When I visited my grandfather at his retirement home, he said, "Did you know Jose has the best vitamins in his closet?" I was confused. What? What do you mean? Yeah, I don't get it either. I saw Jose say he was feeling tired, and when he was taking these little white things, he said they were just his afternoon vitamins to keep him going. I just laughed because 82-year-olds with early dementia say weird things all the time. But since the afternoon caregiver had called in sick, I told the front desk I'd stay with him for the evening. After a while, I went to check on him and knocked on his door, but he didn't answer. I didn't hear anything from inside. Was he napping or something? I slowly opened it, but when I looked inside, I saw him slumped in his recliner in the middle of his room. His Matlock rerun was still playing, but he was just sitting there motionless. I walked in and leaned down to check on him, and my heart stopped. I saw his shirt was drenched in sweat, and I yelled, "Grandpa, what happened?" But then I noticed the pill bottle. The cap was off, and it all hit me. "Grandpa, did you take these?" He just groaned. Jose said they were vitamins. My heart started going 100 miles per hour. The pill bottle was completely empty, and I could see the label. Clonidine, 0.0 Take 1 tablet twice daily. I grabbed my phone, dialing 911, telling them I needed an ambulance. What does 15 clonidine even do to an 82-year-old? They showed up, but they didn't look like they were in a rush at all. Shouldn't we be checking his blood pressure? But they just looked at me weird. His skin was turning cold and clammy, and I knew I learned about this in EMT training, but I couldn't remember what it meant. They just gave me a weird look, and when we got to the hospital, they wheeled him down the hallway. I wanted to make sure he was okay, but the intake nurse stopped me and said, "Family waiting area only. You need to stay here, hun." She made me sit in the waiting room, and I was convinced I just let my grandfather die. It had been too long, and nobody was coming to check on me. Something about the way they treated him didn't sit right with me, so I asked the woman at the desk, "Ma'am, can I please go check on my grandfather?" "No, patients only beyond this point. Read the sign." She pointed at the door like I was stupid. Something in my gut told me this was very wrong, like they weren't taking him seriously. "We have actual emergencies here. Just because your grandfather took some extra vitamins doesn't mean he gets priority." That's when I knew something had to be wrong. I waited until she wasn't looking, and I made a run for the doors. I burst through and heard, "Hey, security!" But I didn't care. I ran down the hallway checking every room, calling my grandfather's name. Then I found him, but instead of nurses and doctors rushing to save his life, he was just lying there in a hallway bed alone. "Grandpa, why isn't anyone helping him? Someone help!" His skin was turning even colder, and I checked his pulse. It was barely there. Security burst through the door behind me and grabbed my arms, trying to pull me back. Then the doctor came in. "What is this? Who are you?" "My grandfather." "Look at him. His skin is cold and clammy. He needs a blood pressure cuff and IV line right now. He's going into hypotensive shock." The doctor looked at my grandfather, then looked at me like I was being hysterical. "No, he's not. He told us he just took some extra vitamins." "No, that was clonidine. He needs emergency treatment." He started looking annoyed. "Oh yeah? Are you a doctor?" I didn't think so. I felt the security guard's grip tighten on my arms. I knew I had to say something fast. "No, but I'm a nurse practitioner. And if you don't get a blood pressure cuff and IV line in my grandfather in the next 10 seconds, I'll personally file charges with the state medical board and make sure this hospital loses its Medicare certification." He huffed and grabbed equipment, and the second he checked his blood pressure, his face went white. His eyes went wide, and he yelled, "Get me an IV and call cardiology right now." Everyone started freaking out, grabbing things, and they made me leave. I sat in that waiting room crying, knowing it had probably been way too long while the intake nurse glared at me. Then he finally came back out. I saw the look on his face and knew this couldn't be good. "Please, doc, tell me you saved him." I saw his eyes were red. He was crying too. "Please, what happened to him?" He just said, "I'm sorry." My legs started shaking. "Sorry? Sorry for what? Please tell me he's alive." He just looked up at me and said, "I'm sorry that I didn't listen to you. I should have checked his vitals immediately. You were right. If you hadn't pushed, he wouldn't be alive right now." He broke down crying. "Please, just don't report this to the medical board. I'm nothing without my license." I just put my hand on his shoulder. "Thank you for saving him. I'm not actually a nurse practitioner. I scan groceries at Safeway."